guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Serene, and today's video is a highly requested on how to pick a LORAC Pro palette. So I have 5 LORAC Pro palettes. I have the original 3, the original one, the second one, and then the third one, and then I have these little mini ones, the metal one and the Pro Matte one. I did not include the LORAC Pro Mega palettes, I think they're called, the really big ones that come out every holiday season, because those are limited edition. So I wanted to include the ones that were not limited edition, part of the LORAC Pro line. Just like my how to pick an Urban Decay Naked palette and my how to pick a Too Faced chocolate bar palette, I'm gonna walk through each individual palette and show you swatches, explain to you guys why you might choose this palette versus another one, and which ones are my favorite for my personal skin tone and eye color and hair color. If you would like to see how to pick a LORAC Pro palette, then just keep on watching. Starting off, I'm going to talk about the first one. This is the original LORAC Pro palette, and it is probably immediately my favorite one that LORAC has ever come out with. It's just such an amazing, versatile palette. The first top line is going to be all of your mattes, and then the bottom row is going to be your shimmers and your satin finishes. The top row is really all you ever really need in terms of a matte palette. It's got a good range of cool and warm tones. You have the white shade, which is very important in a makeup artist kit, and then you have the very matte black. Now with all of the LORAC Pro eyeshadows, and I'm only speaking with these palettes, the eyeshadow quality is very buttery, very soft, and very high color payoff. So the pigmentation is intense. Now with that, you're gonna have to blend a little bit more. You're gonna have to be a little bit softer and gentler with your brush, because there will be powdery kickback and there is a lot of pickup of the powder. So you don't need to dig it in like you might with other palettes. Little gentle tap and go in and blend. Now, there is that kickback, like I mentioned, with all of these palettes, but it's definitely worth the color payoff, the pigmentation, and the longevity of these eyeshadows. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's an issue. I've had this palette for a couple years and I still manage to keep it relatively clean. All you have to do is like dust it off. Don't go stabbing at these palettes because you don't need to get the color payoff. I feel like for every makeup artist, the LORAC Pro Original is kind of a kit necessity if you're going to start out, or if you just want a really versatile, buildable basics palette. Now, obviously you can add glitters, you can add different finishes with other products, but this is going to be a perfect core for your makeup kit. Now, for an everyday palette, for me personally, I really like it because you've got your golds, you've got your champagnes, you've got your browns, you've got your mauves, you've got your taupes, and you've also got the little like plummy, this deep purple, you've got the slate to really add dimension. And of course you can mix this beautiful matte black with a lot of these shadows to add that depth. You can use these for a huge range of looks, and this is by far my favorite palette out of all 3 of the large sizes. So really enjoyed this one, and it's kind of one of those, like, it's such a good palette that I don't know why people wouldn't like it necessarily. Like, I haven't heard anybody not liking this palette. All of these are also really slim, so it's perfect for travel, and I haven't had an issue with these breaking on me when traveling. Now moving into the LORAC Pro 2. This is my least favorite palette out of the collection. The reason is when it first came out, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this. I actually had to repurchase it because I didn't like it and I gave mine away. This one, at first, I think I'm gonna love it. But when I had it for a while, I just didn't reach for it because I felt like even though I love the buff, the light brown, and the cool gray and nectar shades, these kind of got neglected for me personally. Now, I feel like this palette's a little bit more on the cooler range, and then this LORAC Pro 1 is a little bit more on the warm range. But at the same time, if you're looking for a specifically cool palette, this isn't necessarily it, because you do have a couple warm shades in here, and then this is not just a truly warm palette because you have the cool tone shades. But on average, this one is definitely cooler than this one. I feel like if you have very fair skin, you might enjoy this, like a cool undertone. If you're fair with cool undertones, I think you would really enjoy the LORAC Pro 2. Now, I personally have a very neutral undertone with leaning more on the warm side. So the LORAC Pro 1 is more geared towards me. But that being said, with my new hair color, I feel like the LORAC Pro 2 is something I can play with again because it really would bring out the gray and the ash blonde that my hair now is. It just depends on what you're drawn towards. The quality and the pigmentation, I feel like, is pretty comparable to the first one. I have to say the first one I feel like is still the best in terms of quality. This one is good, just not quite the same as the original. Now, I like that they kept it the same. On the top row, you're going to get matte. On the bottom row, you're going to get that really pretty shimmer. Even though this is still a very wearable neutral palette, you are getting a little bit more color. You get that navy, you've got this beautiful silver, you've got this jade shade, and then you've got cocoa. So cocoa is still a neutral, but it's a shimmery neutral, and you just have like very wearable neutral shimmers to play with if you wanted a little bit more of a different look. I feel like this is also more of like a lighter and brighter palette compared to the original one. In terms of if I could only pick one out of all three of these so far, I would still go with the original. Moving into the LORAC Pro 3, this is the newest edition, and this is probably my second favorite. This I've used the most, I feel like, recently, and this is just, it's so me. If you look at this palette, this is just, it calls my name. It calls my name. The LORAC Pro 1, I have to be honest, I would not have bought it if I didn't touch it and if I didn't hear so many great things about it. But this one, just looking at it, not knowing anything about it, I am drawn to these shades. Again, top row is matte, second row is shimmer or metallic. You've got a beautiful jet black again, which is very similar to the original one. And then I love, love, love this first row just because of the fact that it's everything I need, once again, for an everyday look, but a little bit more neutral, a little bit more like natural focused. This on the bottom is going to be a little bit more on the lighter side in terms of the metallic. So I'm going to do inserts of the palettes comparing next to each other. So these are very much shimmery and metallic, but very on the almost like neutral, cool tone metallics. So whereas here you've got the very warm gold, the light bronze, and the garnet. These are all very warm shades. Over here, Medallion's a bit cooler, even though it's still in the warm. I feel like it's more of a neutral. You've got Almond Pearl, which is more of a cool tone, light gold, pewter. All of these are very much more on the cooler tones. Again, this is not specifically a cool tone palette, nor is it a warm tone palette, but I would say it gears towards on the more neutral to cool toned compared to the original. This is something if you do not play with a lot of color, if you don't wear a lot of different looks, but you just want a lot of very natural browns with a little bit of champagne and a little bit of pearlescent shades, maybe a little bit of pinks, this is going to be the palette for you. If you still want options to do more dramatic looks and to do more like variety, this is going to be the one for you, the original first palette. Now let's talk about these little baby LORAC Pro palettes. I have the metal and I have the matte. So the matte one is just exactly what it says. It's going to be 8 shades of matte eyeshadows. You're going to get your bare, which is kind of your all over shade, maybe a highlight shade for depending on the skin tone. You've got linen, which is very much almost a white. You've got some beautiful browns, a burgundy, and a black. Very basic, probably good for those of you guys who just kind of do one eye makeup look and it's very natural once again, and you don't need a bunch of variety of colors, and this is going to be your go-to palette, or those who travel a lot, because this will cut down the size almost by half from the original LORAC Pro. You're definitely limited because you're not going to have any shimmers or metals, but you are going to have enough, like this is even enough to kind of do your brows depending on your hair color, and you've got the jet black to deepen up any of the eyeshadow looks you might need, as well as do a smudgy smoky eye or line your lash line. Metals now is something that I think is really fun to add in addition to a matte palette you might already have. So I really do recommend both, but that just makes it a full-size pro palette almost. So this is going to be fun. I rarely bring this with me though if I'm traveling. I feel like I don't really need it if I'm trying to cut down on baggage. I'm just gonna bring this, otherwise I'll go for the original. A lot of these metals are actually in the full-size Pro palettes, I feel like, if not the exact shade, very, very similar. So I don't think you necessarily have to buy the little baby ones if you are going to purchase one of the large ones. Now, in complete honesty, these are beautiful eyeshadows. I never reach for it. So between the two baby ones, I would say just get the matte palette. You don't really need this one, especially if you have other eyeshadows in your collection and you're just looking for something for every single day, and then you can just grab something like one of these Stila glitters and there, travel. I've got my shine, I've got my glitter, and I've got all of my mattes for every day, as well as I can deepen everything up and make it a night look. Now, like my Urban Decay Naked palette video and my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette video, I always say I'm gonna tell you guys like who I think these palettes are geared towards, but of course, buy whatever you're drawn to. That is always what I recommend. If you like something and I say that, oh, I don't recommend it for your skin type or your skin tone, don't listen to me. This is just a very generic, basic guideline. There's no need for you guys to not buy something because you like it, because someone said so. Completely lost and you wanted a place to start because you couldn't pick one. Because I say buy what you are drawn to, because that's typically what you're gonna like and what you're gonna wanna play with. Now, starting for the first one, this is the LORAC Pro 1. I feel like this is universally compatible for everybody. Almost every makeup artist I have worked with or has done my makeup has this in their kit, and every time they do a different eye look on me, because they're all different and it's all for different projects, I am always shocked that it was with this palette. So I really think it's incredibly versatile. It's incredibly universally flattering. I don't think you can go wrong with the original. Now, if you look at this and you're not quite sure what you would do with it because the shadows look a little bit too deep for you, I think you might enjoy LORAC Pro 2 or 3. Now, LORAC Pro 2, I'm just not that drawn to, but with my new hair, I might be. And this is one of those palettes that I think looks really beautiful if you have cool undertones. Mattes are going to actually show up on you and really pop. I just think it's one of those things that it actually is going to be more flattering for those with neutral to cool undertones. Now, if you're warmer undertone, you can still make this work, especially if you're drawn to it. I also think if you have green eyes, this would look really beautiful on you. And if you have blue eyes, this would look really beautiful on you. Whereas the LORAC Pro 1, you can make look beautiful on every shade, every eye shade, every skin tone, everything. This one is a little bit more limiting. Third one is my second favorite, like I mentioned, and I think, again, a lot of people are gonna look good with this, so if you like that really natural look, you're going to love this palette. This is a little bit more on the warm side, even though I still think it's a lot more neutral than the original one. And what I would say is, between the original, if you thought that the original was a little bit too deep and too many shades that like maybe scared you in terms of color, then get the third one. This one is going to be your starter palette. This is going to be a lot of options. You're really going to enjoy this, I feel like. I'm not quite sure this would look great on those with medium to deep skin tone. Medium deep or deep skin tones, I just feel like this, like a lot of these shades over here just might not show up or be as flattering to the eye as the LORAC Pro 1 is for everybody. If you're getting one of the large palettes, I don't think you need to get these baby ones. However, if you wanted something to travel with, like I mentioned, this is going to cut down half of your palette. I would recommend getting the Pro Matte because of the fact that it's just a more versatile palette. This Mini Pro Metal one is not one of those palettes that you can kind of just travel with, so it's just a in addition to palette just because you like the shades. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was highly requested after my Urban Decay Naked palette and my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palettes video. If you haven't checked those out, make sure you give them a watch. I will link them in the description box below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so and follow me on all of my social medias. I also have a blog with exclusive newsletters and giveaways every month. And I have a second channel called More Serein. Make sure you go check that out. I do unboxing videos over there, and I'm going to be doing DIYs, organization, more home stuff, as well as vlogging. So lots of fun things coming. If anything, I really hope my videos help motivate and inspire you to look and feel your best from the outside in. I know when I look and feel my best, I'm just a lot more capable at dealing with whatever it is life has to throw at me. And if anything, I hope my video was able to help you unwind and de-stress from your day. I know that's why I watch YouTube videos. So until next time, I'll see you guys right back here on Monday for Makeup Bag Monday. I upload 4 videos a week, so I have new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And my new podcast episodes, which will now be on YouTube as well as iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud, or directly via Libsyn, is launching on February 17th. So make sure you check back on Friday, February 17th to see or listen to the first episode of season 2 for Behind the Beauty. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. Bye. Aw, I just stuck my finger in it.